Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going over 5 lanes that the pros are currently using to dominate the early game. These are also lanes that have a lot of synergy in the mid game as well, so basically I'll just be kind of going over why they're strong in combination, what you need to do to maximize the power of these lanes, and so on. And yeah, let's get into it. But before we do, remember that we do actually run a website. Believe it or not, if you click the like button, you'll eventually get 50% off on the gameleap website. Not right now, but if you click the link down below, you can actually go check out the website. We post content there every single day that's going to help you get to the next level. Literally, I make videos on so many different topics. I just started making an Invoker course, for instance. Before that, I did a support course. And you can check these videos out over on the gameleap website. You're going to watch them and you're going to be like, wow, Speed, I wish I knew from the beginning how great this service actually is. Nah, I'm just playing, but it actually is. So click the link down below. Go give it a shot, and I'll see you guys there. Alright, starting off with the first lane combo, we have Clock Nature's Prophet. Now, I like to call this the OB Neon Special. If you guys are familiar with the team, they love picking Nature's Prophet. I think it's their most picked hero, at least as of late. Every single time I watch that team, they seem to have like some sort of like Viper Prophet or something along those lines, like fast-paced mid laner that is really annoying and a Prophet. But Prophet's the special. Now, with Prophet, what is Prophet's biggest weakness? It's his lack of initiation. Even in the laning stage, the hero simply doesn't have a slow, and it doesn't have a stun. Sprout is unreliable. It's actually just not a disable. In fact, if you sprout the enemy and they tangle the tree, you double their tango regen, right? So it's literally worse than studying them in a lot of situations. Now, of course, if they don't have tangos or quelling, it's one of the best disables in the game, but you get the point. So you pair this up with a Clockwork, and there's a lot of synergy here. In the laning stage, Prophet is one of the highest damage carries in the game, heroes in the game. He has one of the best attack animations in the game, some of the best stat gain in the game, Treants, which is one of the best, maybe the best level 1 spell in the game. It's up there. And so yeah, Prophet at level 1 is insane. Clockwork at level 1 is not the best. It's definitely not the best. If you've played Clockwork as a support before, you'll know that trying to use Battery Assault in the first creep wave is very difficult. So, how do you kind of solve this dilemma, or what is one workaround of this dilemma? Well, you pick one of the best trading heroes in the game. How do you force someone off the creep wave? You hit them, you do a bunch of damage to them. That's the whole point of trying to kill someone, you know? You're usually running at them and pushing them off the wave, and Clockwork loves that. If he can get a max Battery Assault off, all of a sudden this hero goes from not good at trading to one of the best traders in Dota. And therefore, there's a ton of synergy here just in the laning stage. And on top of that, as we move on to the mid game, Prophet does what? He TPs around and gets pickoffs as well as farms. Clockwork practically never farms, so that's good for Prophet, because Prophet doesn't want like a ton of space-soaking supports. Like, it does not feel good to play, for instance, like Earthshaker with Prophet. I mean, it's okay if like your other cores aren't greedy, and like if Shaker can be practically treated as like the offlaner, that combo is definitely a thing because of like the fact that that's also a good lane. But Clock, in my opinion, is just better, especially right now. Shaker's not in a great spot. But Clock, he just sets up plays 24/7. He does like, what, a grand damage in the early game. A level 3 Clock literally can do like 1,000 damage. A Prophet ulti plus a TP is going to be more than enough to secure a kill, and therefore nobody can split push besides the few heroes that kind of just get out of cogs very easily. And those heroes can survive, the majority cannot. And so if you're looking for a counter, I guess I've told you what it is, but a lot of the time you can at least kick them out of the lane. Next up on the list, we have another safe lane combo. This is probably the most meta combo of the video, and by the way, strap in boys, because I don't think we're gonna get another patch for 3 months or after TI, so that might almost be 4 months, right? Oh man, oh god. I mean, I honestly like the patch. I think it's a good patch. I think there's maybe a little bit too much Luna. Terrorblade seems to be popping up, but honestly, considering the fact that like Luna wasn't popular at the beginning of the patch and TV wasn't popular at the beginning of the patch, the meta has definitely been shifting. But like, I don't know, it just Luna's such a boring hero. I hate playing against it. It's just so lame. It's basically playing against Alk when Alk's in the meta. It's essentially the same thing. It's just this like low skill hero that just hits neutrals and then has like an 8k net worth advantage. You're like, okay, well, I guess we don't do any damage to her because she has a butterfly and a satanic and a BKB. I guess we'll just go next. And then that's the whole game. But right, this combo, pretty meta. Winter Wyvern, one of the most meta supports in the game. Okay, it's probably not surprising he's on this list. And Spectre. Now, Wyvern is decent at going aggressive, but decent is like the best way I could put it. For instance, I had to lean against a A Hoodwink, not fun. Not fun. It's very not fun to play Wyvern against Hoodwink. It's extremely miserable. So, what do you do in those type of lanes? Well, you kind of just, like, sit behind your carry, click Arctic Burn every so often, maybe secure range creep if you took your W, and, like, heal them. When you hit level 2, you just start healing them. What does Spectre like to do? He just likes to hang back, chill, and get healed. It's the whole point of Warlock Spectre. It's just you pick a bunch of team fight, and then you pick Spectre, and then you heal him, and he farms, and then you team fight without the Spectre in the mid game. And so basically, this combo is Warlock Spectre just with a better Warlock. That's really the whole thing. I mean, I'd love to make it more complex than that. It's just not. Winter Wyvern is also good at stacking. Similar to Warlock, right? Warlock can use the bond thingy, just stack in general. Wyvern's a good stacker. Makes stacks for Spectre, he pops Blade Mail or just farms him with Dispersion, and you got yourself a game. You just stack camps, because that's the whole meta right now. Frankly, if you're playing position 5 and you're not stacking, or you're a carry player, guys, you gotta start yelling at your support. You gotta be, hey, you're getting what, like 40% stack gold? I don't know the actual number, something stupid. Just stack, stack, stack. Next up on the list, we have Bloodseeker Rubick. Now, I will say that I'm actually a bigger fan of Bloodseeker Hoodwink, only because I think Bloodseeker, well, Hoodwink is a better trader than Rubick. But I will say that this has been a classic combo for a while. Bloodseeker Rubick is like, you kind of just like pressure them, you push in the wave, and then you just auto. Now, Hoodwink can also do that, and as I said, is a better trader, but I want to use Hoodwink for a future combo, so I didn't want to use it twice in the video. So just keep that in mind. But Bloodseeker Rubick, classic combo. First things first, dismissing the lane, we have Telekinesis plus Rupture. It's not like some insane amount of damage, but it's definitely good, right? It's definitely good. And then you have Telekinesis plus Blood Right, right? People try to run out of it, okay, you lift them, throw it back in. To be fair, a lot of disables can essentially accomplish the same thing, but the big thing here is the level 1 Wave Shove is extremely good. The concept behind Bloodseeker at level 1 is generally very basic. You use Blood Right and some sort of nuke from your position 4, if they have it, or even just auto attacks, to push in the range creep, kill it off immediately, and all of a sudden the safe laner has to land in a lane with a creep disadvantage. On top of that, then Bloodseeker will pull creep aggro, he'll bring it back to his range creep. Hopefully at that point you've already kind of zoned them back, so like they have to react late, right? Because the Blood Right just completely zones them out, and even Fadebolt does to some extent, right? Harasses them quite a bit if they don't get out of the way, and then you just deny their range creep. And so like you split the wave, you use this like massive circle thingy, and then you deny their range creep and secure your range creep. It's like really, I'm not gonna say straightforward because like most people never do this stuff, but the idea is kind of simple, you get the point. And by the way, you can replicate this with like plenty of other lanes. This is not, it's not like solely Bloodseeker Rubick that can do this. I just think the combo's really good. I also like it in the mid game. Why? Because Rubick tends to be a very high damage support. If he steals something like Dragon Slave, Lena's Q in the early game, combines that with Fadebolt, you're basically gonna make him very thirsty. And that's a big part of Bloodseeker in the mid game. Moving on, we have our Hoodwink lane, and that's Hoodwink LESHRAC. LESHRAC very popular right now. The Hood Rush, I think it's extremely good. I'm a huge fan of it. Even Hood Rush into Kaya. I think Kaya is in a better place than it's ever been, ever since they buffed the mana regen amplification. And so yeah, you can buy a bunch of clarities and just mana regen up. It's really good. And then why LESHRAC Hoodwink? Now, LESHRAC tends to be laned with melee heroes. He tends to be laned with heroes like Earth Spirit or heroes like Tiny. But I honestly think you don't need it, like in the lane, you just don't need it. Unless they're like some really aggressive lane, in which case it's still kind of fine because Bushwhack can protect you. You just auto attack them over and over again. And it's really easy to follow a Bushwhack stun with LESHRAC because it just pulls them towards a tree. Like, more often than not, when the enemy is running away, you can Bushwhack them towards you, and then follows up for a really easy LESHRAC stun. Like, it's quite easy. And you just do an insane amount of damage. And by the way, like, Edict, right? You obviously want 2 stuns to maximize Edict, Lesh being one of them, but then you also have the combination of another slow from Acorn Shot. So it's just so much damage and so much disable. If you haven't played against this lane or seen it, it just does some insane amount of damage. It's not that common yet, but I definitely think it could be. The only disclaimer I'll give is it does not give you a proper frontliner in the mid game. Can LESHRAC frontline? Yes, I actually just made a video talking about that on the website. But not in every fight. It kind of depends on the fight, it depends on the heroes. And so typically, if you're gonna run this combo, I recommend you try to have a DK mid or a Tiny mid or a safe lane Axe, or even if you can run this combo as safe lane as well, right? Lesh can be a safe laner, it's totally fine. Then you want an offlane Axe or a Centaur, right? Something along these lines to initiate and soak the damage for LESHRAC and Hoodwink. And last but certainly not least, we have MIRANA Sand King. It's kind of a throwback lane, but I actually ran this very recently. from the perspective of the Sand King and the perspective of the Mirana, and both lanes it just felt really easy. A big disadvantage to Sand King at level 1 is his inability to secure the range creep without just committing suicide. Sure, you can take Sandstorm, but most people know to buy sentries against Sand King. You can stun, but then you've stunned into the wave, and that's generally inconvenient. And Caustic Finale, yeah, it's okay, but people, if they're good, are gonna run at you at level 1 and pressure you at level 1, in which case it's very hard to use the Caustic Finale in a proper way, especially if you're against something like a TB or a Drow, someone who's just gonna, you know, bop you over and over and over again. So, how do you fix that? Arrow! It's literally perfect. It's literally perfect. What people will get wrong about this lane, though, is they're like, oh, okay, we're just gonna stun in the stun, right? Do not stun in the stun at level 1. Most of the time, even with Mirana, you do not want stun at level 1. Is it okay? It's okay. It still does a lot of damage if you catch someone out of position, but like, you really gotta catch someone out of position for it to be good, especially considering a lot of the time, even if you hit the combo, you're still gonna end up losing your range creep anyway, as a result of the fact that you use the arrow, so you have to keep that in mind. But yeah, it's just brutally good, right? Mirana secures level 1. When Sand King just wants to get some soul XP, Mirana can jungle. Once Sand King has gotten his XP up, right, hits level 3, level 4, when he's 1-2-1, which is a very common build, you just stun into a Sandstorm, maybe hit like one creep of Caustic into an arrow and a Starstorm, and people just frickin' explode. It's also a really easy to execute mid-game combo. Mirana's ultimate, incredibly good with Sand King, right? Typically, you need to smoke Sand King in team fights so he can get off his ulti at the start of the fight. Mirana ulti, while it's not as good, it actually is better in some circumstances if the enemy doesn't have detection, right? But it just allows you to get off your ulti, right? In general, it's just such a good spell at getting off your ulti and even being able to stay alive when you get dove. So, huge fan of this combo. On top of that, the last thing I'd like to mention is I played Sand King recently. I really don't like playing this hero as like a heavy farm priority hero. I watched Seb play it recently, and he actually did take quite a bit of farm priority. He was taking stacks like crazy, but honestly, like, that's just kind of the meta right now. If you can take stacks, you take stacks. But like, after the mid game on Sand King, you don't want to farm a ton. You can push in waves, but you generally want to be moving around the map, not showing threat, like you just want your presence to be threatening. And Mirana is like one of the better position for us at scaling, right? She has like survivability, a lot of nukes. She does really well with items, right? Yules is great, Athos is great, Greaves is nice just to stay alive. You can go the Ags route, you can go Veil E-Blade, you can even go Maelstrom. I'm not really a huge fan of that, but you can do it with the Shard. And yeah, I just love it. It's such a free-flowing combo. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, it would mean the world to me if you could smash the like button. We post every single day, and it does take a lot of work, so it really would mean the world if you enjoy the video, you're learning stuff every single day, if you could just click that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace! And that's all! But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!